My Bloody Podcast.
Hello. Oh,
Oh,
there we go.
there we go. Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Sometimes I want to click leave.
Well, this is gonna be good. Welcome everybody to My Bloody Podcast, and oh my gourd, it is a wonderful episode today. I'm Bryan Kluger, and I'm joined by the hostess with the mostest, the lady down in Florida who just loves all things bears and piglets and everything else, Chelsea Nicole.
Hello. You always give me the most random and weird things that I can never say anything to. So thank you.
Well, we have a great show today on My Bloody Podcast because we have a special guest here. We have an intercontinental champion of cinema and horror, a legendary Nicola Wright. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. That's quite an introduction.
Oh my goodness. We're going to talk a lot about movies, TVs, horror, England, acting, everything else, and your new film that's coming out, that's premiering in the States later this month, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey Part 2. Oh my goodness. But before that, we have to start at the very beginning, like in The Sound of Music.
Yeah.
Nikki, where did it all begin with you in film or TV? Was it something you watched on your parents' TV? Was it a play you watched? Where did it all begin for you with acting?
No, it kind of began. My mum was an actress. She'd sort of given up by the time she had me, but as a consequence, there were loads of photos, and my godparents were in the business. And she was she took me to the theatre from a very young age and sort of introduced me to it. So I never knew anything. I never knew that I wanted to be anything else. I knew from very young, I used to say I wanted to be an actress, and I wanted to go to drama school when I was about 10, and my dad was the one that says, no, you need to get an education. And then at 16, I went to drama school. I was like, nah, I'm out of here.
Right? And so you always had that bug to be on stage or in front of a camera. Was there like a moment where you realized this is what I have to do with my life?
Well, as I said, I've never thought of anything else. I literally I don't think I could do anything. I had that bee in my bonnet. That was what I was going to do. And I didn't think so much, funnily enough, about film and TV at that age. It was more theatre, probably, that I was thinking. But, like anything, once you're out and working, the whole world hopefully opens up. So, and I was at stage school, as I said, by the time I was 16.
Okay. Do you remember your first stage production and what part you played?
I do. I can't remember what part necessarily, because I went straight into something we call weekly repertory theatre, which I don't even think there are any in this country anymore. And it's where you're doing a play in the evening and then you're rehearsing the following week's play in the day. So you're on those relentless loop. So it'd be a play a week. So clearly I can't remember what I was, because I was many people. Over the summer season that year, I did umpteen plays it's sort of rotating.
Awesome. I love that. I love the theater, and I like when actors get both degrees of theater and film and in front of a camera. And your resume is packed with an amazing amount of different projects, different genres, different time periods. What was your first foray into the horror genre?
I did a short film about probably about 15 years ago. And it was probably the first horror I'd really done. And I met somebody on that who played my son, who I thought was amazing. And a few years later, I got an audition for an indie film a found footage horror film, which I got, and I recommended this Joe to be in it. He got the part. So that was the first feature horror film I'd done. And to be honest, of all the jobs I've ever done, my kids were so excited because they love horror. They weren't interested in really anything else I've ever done. But suddenly I was in the world of horror, and it was like, yes, Mum's finally got something a bit cool about her. And then from that, I did a couple of others, but then Tom Jolliffe, who's a writer and has written quite a few of Scott and well, certainly Scott's films in the past. I did a non-horror, I did a comedy that he cast, bizarrely a Thai film. Yeah, completely nothing to do with anything of this. But he did say at the end of it, I work with Scott Jeffries, and I think you probably get on very well, and the rest is kind of history. So that was 5 or 6 years ago now. And then from then, there's been a catalogue of horror as well as other things. But yeah.
In jumping into this horror genre, do you find that all of your other work, comedy, theater, or the horror fans, do you get recognized, or is there like a difference in the fans? Like the horror fans are so rabid and love everything, or is it a difference?
Well, I'd love to say people. I'd love to say people recognize me, but they never do. I just go about my life. Nobody knows who I am. Except for friends and family.
Wait till you start going to horror conventions. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that will be fun. I really hope I do. I would like to do that.
But you've done so many cool things, from House of Dragons to Ted Lasso to Top Secret, one of the great comedy movies. Like, before we get into Blood and Honey, I've got to ask about Top Secret. How did that happen? Because that's like one of the, when people say like top 5 comedy movies of all time, Top Secret's one of them, and you're in that.
Yeah, it is. I agree. Actually, the kids are pleased with that one as well. They like that. So Top Secret, I was very young, and I just went for the audition like anybody else. Amazing. Mary Selway, who's not alive anymore, was the casting director. I didn't realize how huge a film it would certainly be. And it, I haven't got a huge part, but it was a nice part, and there's a lot of dancing sequence in it within as well. And actually it ended up being way longer because the way those 3 work, the directors, they all chip in. They're very funny, and they're bouncing off each other, the Zucker brothers and Jim Abrahams. Yep. And so midway, they suddenly said to each other, hey, this pizza scene's really, wouldn't it be fun if we had stretchy cheese? Well, that hadn't been decided upon. So then we all waited about 2 days while stretchy cheese, which if you've seen the movie, we all get in a tangle with the stretchy cheese. So actually the days on that shoot turned into quite a nice long little job. And Val Kilmer was fantastic. Really, Michelle and I, we got on very well with him. He was, sweetheart.
That's amazing. I love to hear that. And then you arrive at a movie that's coming out later this year with Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey Part 2. Of course, last year, this film, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, came out, and it hit everywhere, and it just took over. It was an internet sensation. It went viral, and it's like these beloved kids' classics characters, Disney characters, and we're turning them horror. We're going the distance, and they did so well. It did so well. They made a sequel, bigger, longer, uncut, faster. It's great, and you play the mother, and that is super cool. So, I guess you've worked with you said Jeffrey. What's his name? Jeffries. Scott Chambers. You've worked with him for a while, right?
Yeah.
And
yes, as with him producing and directing. So we hadn't had because he's an amazing actor, but his acting career was kind of separate to the films that he produces. So although I'd worked for him, I hadn't worked with him as a co-actor.
Right, and he's produced quite a lot of these movies, which are in my mind, being part in the horror world, and I love these types of movies because I always thought horror pushes the bounds, it does things new, and it makes you think, and it's creative and all of that stuff. And so coming aboard Winnie the Pooh 2, when you first knew about the job and you're just like, oh wow, I'm gonna be part of this Winnie the Pooh. And were you just like, yes, please, 2 thumbs up, or you were like, oh God, I don't know?
No, I was, for 2, I was definitely like, yes, let's do this. Because once I knew that Scott had committed to playing Christopher Robin, I felt this was going to be like a whole, like the level was going, wow. Yeah. So I was well up for it.
Awesome.
It was him being, once I knew it was him, it was, yes, a no-brainer. Yeah, I'm in.
That's good.
Yeah.
Chelsea?
Yeah, I saw that so in this one, I saw that you're playing Daphne Robin, who I believe, if I'm assuming correctly, is based off of A.A. Milne's wife, the author of Winnie the Pooh, Daphne. So I know that this new one is kind of a refresh and a whole, and like a not a restart, but just a refresh from the first one. So since this is the sequel to the last movie, are we getting a bit more of Christopher's backstory? Like, where does his mother, Daphne, you fit into the story?
Yeah, you're right. It's a kind of reset. I'm not allowed to fully tell you how they've managed to do that and why,
Okay.
for example, you've got a different Christopher Robin, but there is a reason. It's not like, oh, we've recast Christopher Robin. That is definitely not part of the storyline. Like as I said, you need to see it, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at how clever they've been about it. So you definitely see more of his family makeup. He's got a sister as well, young Thea, whose name is Bunny in it, and yeah, I'm not allowed to say anything else on that one. So you see his dad as well, and you're right, we are called Alan and Daphne, just as A.A. Milne was. A was for Alan, and Daphne was his wife, although obviously now we're in modern times as opposed to the whole family being, back in those days. But that's why they've got the names that they have, because genuinely that those books were written by A. Milne for Christopher Robin, the Winnie the Pooh stories. So yeah, not that the dad writes stories in this one.
Yeah.
So you're saying this is the Godfather 2 of horror movies?
Yeah, exactly. I think I'm saying
that. That's awesome with the flashback and stuff, because I saw like the trailer only. I haven't seen the movie yet, the sequel, but from the trailer there looks like to be some good backstory there, and I'm really happy about that to see.
Huge backstory. It's a big part of it. I mean, obviously the therapist, which you see in the trailer, is trying to get him to remember what happened many years ago, which was traumatic not only for Christopher but for the family. So there's part of that is part of, I guess, what makes Daphne and Alan who they are, because as I said, I can't say what it is, but something happened to the family.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, we're gonna go a guessing game here after this. Can't wait.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask, we're seeing all of these different kind of IPs come into the public domain, with the first being Winnie the Pooh for the Blood and Honey in 2022. And I just wanted to ask you maybe something a little different, because we're from different countries, different time zones, all of that really good stuff. If you can remember any like children's stories from your own childhood or from like a family childhood that you thought were particularly creepy and would translate well to film.
Yeah, I've said that the one that is happening and would be the one I would have picked, to be honest, and that's Peter Pan, because as a child it was my favorite, and I used to have it read to me over and over. on a loop. And then quite early in my career, I played Wendy on stage for about 6 months, and I loved it. And so I didn't necessarily think it as completely creepy at the time as a child, but as an adult, there's a lot of creepy nonsense going on in Peter Pan, and I think it lends itself really, really well to becoming a horror film, which of course it's not a secret. That's Bambi has just been done, but Peter Pan will be the next.
Which is awesome. Yeah, I've seen the rumblings on both of those, the Peter Pan and the Bambi, which is going to be amazing. And you're part of those,
Yes.
right?
I'm part of Bambi.
All right, part of Bambi.
The cast for Peter Pan hasn't been announced yet, but I am in Bambi, and we finished that about it was the end of January. Yeah.
Awesome. That's so cool. And so
it's very different.
No, I bet. I'm really looking forward to it. Being on set in Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey Part 2, were you on set any of the days where all the fun practical effects and blood and gore were happening, or any of like the fire chainsaws that we see? You know, like was it fun? Was it fun to see like any of that happen on screen?
I wasn't part of. Yeah, so I wasn't part of any of the big, like that scene, that chainsaw scene, and the rave scene is incredible, but I wasn't there because obviously Mummy Robin, Daphne, doesn't go to a rave. But there was some practical effects on the day I was there.
Okay.
Not giving any spoilers. But yes, it's the team, they're called Prosthetic Studio. They're incredible. So the difference with this film compared to the first, the prosthetics are amazing.
And as
so
an
yeah,
actor,
I do love all that.
Yeah,
I find makeup and fascinating. Yeah, I do. And just the blood, because I'm not squeamish because I love horror, but I do find it fascinating how they can recreate some really revolting things just with sort of whatever it is, the latex, and how realistic it will look.
And do you kind of impart that back to your kids, like, hey, mom did a really cool thing on set today?
Yeah, well, my daughter does do makeup. She's not it's not her main job. She works in advertising, but she for years has sort of self-taught and is an amazing SFX artist herself. So she loves it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
She often come when she lived at home, she'd come down for dinner like blood all dripping, and she'd created some other horrific look on her face and sort of sat there like
so you're used to it. Yeah,
covered in goo and blood. Yeah.
And so it looked like over the last day or two, it looked like in London the premiere for Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 happened, right?
Last night. Yeah,
last night. So how was that, and how as an actress do you feel when you see the fans clamoring at a theater, when you see people watching it and getting those reactions? What was that like last night? Was it party? Was it like so much fun?
Amazing. I think we're all still a bit giddy from it now, to be honest. It surpassed, because the cinema it was at is kind of quite a cool culty cinema, which we all love. It's not too huge. It seats about 300 or 400. And it was packed. So you're watching. It's so nice to go to the cinema and watch it with a full audience, and B, an audience who want and will and do love it. So every kill, every time one of their friends was on, there was like whoops and cheers at how revolting some bit of gore was. So yeah, the atmosphere in the cinema was incredible. All the pre-bit, the photographers and all that's quite fun. And then afterwards, I'd say 100% people like that is on a different level. Yeah.
Awesome. That's so
blown
cool.
Away. Everyone was blown away. Yeah, really proud of it. I'm proud of Scott and Reese. They've done an incredible job. Really, they have.
Awesome.
Yeah.
During this movie particularly, did you have like any outer body experience where you just kind of looked at yourself and were like, holy shit, this is so good. This is going to be amazing. Was there like a particular moment where you thought that?
There was a moment, which again I can't sort of say, but it involves prosthetics. And
Nice.
yeah, that's it. That's all I'm saying. And I did think, yeah, this is pretty cool.
This is pretty cool. Hopefully we'll see some behind the scenes stuff. And it was
Yeah,
really
you
cool.
definitely will. Once the film's out there, there'll be more. But to be honest, we still were picking up a little bit of stuff on a little bit of stuff that I can't say on Bambi.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mm,
That's great.
yeah. So right up until the last, things were being sort of added in and tweaked here and there.
And I'm excited. Right before we started talking to you just today, just like a few minutes ago, I got an email saying that the States is finally getting a physical copy from Shout Factory, to release the first movie on Blu-ray. So I'm hoping the second movie is going to be a Scream Factory Collector's Edition too. So
yeah.
that's super awesome.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that would be really good. And I'm hoping that it has such, an amazing response that they decide to put it on in the cinemas in the UK. Because at
Right?
the moment, we haven't got it coming to our cinemas. And I think that's a travesty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's cool.
Yeah.
So I let's get to some fun questions, some real fun questions here. So
Hit me.
hit you. So if you could insert your character from Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, and the character of Winnie the Pooh in Blood and Honey into any movie out there to make that other movie better, what movie are you inserting your character and Winnie the Pooh into to make it better?
Well, I don't think you could make it better, but I'd quite like to pop us in Saltburn.
Oh,
Yes! That was Chelsea and I's favorite movie.
yes.
I'd like to be sat with Rosamund Pike. Daphne and Rosamund could be having a little chit chat, and there could be lots of things for Barry to get up to with the blood and the honey.
Yeah, the blood and the honey.
Oh, that's such a good answer.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, great movie. Really good.
Great movie. Oh, it was so good.
So with speaking of like Saltburn and award season and stuff, with the Oscars and everything just this past weekend, I know that the Oppenheimer cast mentioned that they have like a group chat called Oppenhomies. So my mind went to, does the Blood and Honey cast have a chat called like the Honey Bears or
no, I think, let me just check. I will tell you, I think we're just called from memory Winnie 2 cast. And then I believe they've got a Winnie 2 crew separate. They keep us separate. Basically, there's too many of us.
Okay. I would say for the next one, because I know that this one's going to be amazing, that you have to have some kind of Oppenheimer-esque name.
Yeah, I think we need to sort of make a better name for it, for definite. I think we'll need to come up with something original for that. Bamboo rather than Bambi or something. I don't know.
I like that. That's so good. So another fun question: since your career has spanned, has been everywhere, and you're a cinematic aficionado, with all of the work you've done. Is there a particular line from a movie that you love so much that you would tattoo it to yourself? And what would that movie line be?
She's like, immediately no.
I haven't got any tattoos. And I think at my age, it would look a little sad for me to have a tattoo line. Nah,
No tattoo line. No.
Well,
No
is there
tattoos.
something you would get like embroidered on a jacket or something? Let's go less permanent.
Let's go less permanent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now I can't think of a line.
Like if you had the best jean jacket and you could put like a thing on the back, your favorite movie line on the back, what would it be?
What, from any movie or from one
anything?
Of mine?
Oh, any movie.
Anything.
Any movie.
Oh. No, I still can't think. That's a bit rubbish. I was all ready to be all witty, and I can't be witty and funny at all. I think the only thing I would have on the back is not a line from a movie, but my grandchildren call me Nanky, which is quite ridiculous. But that's a cross between Nana and Nikki.
Oh, and sweet though.
When my kids when we were watching the film, I'm not allowed to say what happened, but they went, no, Nanky, like it's kind of become a running joke that loads of people call me Nanky now. So maybe across my jean jacket, I'd have Nanky rules or something.
Nanky rules.
That's amazing. And the last question for you, are there any particular scenes in any movie that have always stuck with you that help shape your creative life? That you always think back to this scene in the movie and it gets you in the mood to like, I'm going to give a great performance. Whether it be something from Star Wars or E.T. or Shaun of the Dead or anything.
They're all great films. I think more of people like Meryl Streep. I love that sort of, I'm more thinking of, not that I'm comparing myself to Meryl Streep, but that sort of, there's more of a presence and a calm and which often I do get cast, even though I'm quite chit-chatty. I'm not, unless I'm doing comedy, I'm often cast as quite serious, emotional. I've spent so much of my career crying buckets. And so I'm more likely to tap into some of the actresses that I really respect and think are good, rather than me being able to think of a particular scene. I mean, I think that's really.
So Meryl Streep, that's
but
good.
Also as an actor, you do get time. I mean, I do tend just to think of things that have been more personal to me if I'm trying to get myself into a certain emotional place.
Awesome. No, that's great. Nikki, thank you so much for joining here on My Bloody Podcast. We are so excited to see this part 2 and you in it. And this is going to be super cool to watch.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm really, honestly, I'm so excited to hear what you think of it. Now, having seen it myself, I'm like, yeah.
For sure. We'll get back to you. We'll find you on social media. In that, where can everybody find Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2?
What, on social media? Where can they find it?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, it's on It's on everything. It's on Instagram and I believe on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, but they've got their own Winnie the Pooh TikTok, and on Twitter, which is now X, and I'm on Twitter and Instagram.
I still call it Twitter. It's fine.
So do I. I can't say X.
No, I can't either. Is there
the first time it popped up on my phone, I thought I'd gone and downloaded something dodgy.
No, absolutely.
That's triple X.
That's absolutely when it updated. I was like, this isn't me. This isn't me. Is there somewhere that we can find just you on Instagram, on social media?
Yeah, NK_Wright.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Go say hi to Nikki out there. She's amazing. Look up her entire resume and watch all of her movies. It's great. And we look forward to Bambi and everything else you do. Thank you so much for being on My Bloody Podcast.
Pleasure.
Let's begin. I'm going to take you back there. Feel all weight drift away. How are you feeling?
Good, I think.
Do you recall anything from the session? Focus. What is happening?
This was the day Billy was taken.
Them kids. They didn't stay buried. As if the earth itself was allowing this horror to rise up.
There's someone setting similarities to the 100-Acre Massacre.
It's not safe. There have been loads of murders leading to Ashdown.
Tell me everything you saw, please.
I knew that this day would come.
All of Ashdown will burn.